We are in a Muscadine mood. There is no other beloved fruit with its own mystery and mystique than the Muscadine. We travel to the mother of all vines on Roanoke Island that dates back over 400 years as an original native Muscadine source. Don't miss this mouth-watering roasted sausage with muscadines and my modern twist on a vintage recipe of muscadine, broccoli, and pasta salad in poppyseed dressing. We are in the kitchen with talented baker and food writer Kia Mastriani to make her famous peanut butter and jelly pie using grapes from her backyard vine.
You are the best pie person I will ever know.
It's good to have pie people in your life, that's for sure.
I'm Sheri Castle. I write cookbooks, I write for food magazines, I cook, I teach, and I collect stories. And my favorite stories are the ones behind our best-loved home recipes.
Is it time to shuck them?
It's time to shuck them. Cheers.
Oh, that's awesome.
I will go out and explore from the ground up the best ingredients that go into some of our most beloved family recipes. It's all about the food, the flavors, and finding the key ingredient. If you've never heard of a muscadine, I'm happy to share its wonders. It's a great ingredient, full of flavor, and you might say zing. Muscadines are used for jams, baking, and also winemaking. Now here's a fun fact. All scuppernongs are muscadines, but not all muscadines are scuppernongs. The very first known muscadine vine is believed to be on Roanoke Island on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and it dates back over 400 years. It's a marvel, and I'm so happy to see it and hear about its history from the current keeper of the vine.
My name is Carl Kernude, and I'm the keeper of the vine. John Wilson, son of Estelle and Jack Wilson, who actually built the home here and actually became keepers of the vine, was looking somebody to sort of take over the property. And so it was a perfect, wonderful opportunity, was planning on building a home and came and visited and said, oh my heavens, I mean, this is the most spectacular view. And then on top of it, to be blessed with having the mother vine in your front yard. I'm a great lover of history, having been the producer of The Lost Colony. I'm now the executive director of the Elizabethan Gardens, and I thought, you know, how wonderful to have this piece of history in your yard.
Hello, hello. How are you?
It's so good to have you here at the Mother Vine.
I am delighted to be here. So I have driven on what feels like a pilgrimage to the complete end of the United States to be in this spot. Tell me where I am.
Well, you are at the oldest producing grapevine in North America.
Okay, now that's a big sentence right there. Tell me what kind of grape this is. Let's start there.
This is Muscadine.
Uh-huh.
And this grape has actually been producing, we think, from the 16th century, when the colonists actually came in 1587. Some think that it was actually brought here by the lost colonists. Some say the Native Americans actually harvested the grapes that were actually here, the Algonquin Indians that were actually here on the island. But it is the oldest producing in North America.
That's amazing. So we've got these ends here, but I can't help but look over my shoulder that I think that truly the root of this story is right up under this trellis.
You are absolutely right. And there are three major root systems that are with this vine, and that has been living for over 400 years.
So the trellis that we are crawling under, is that just to lift some of the weight of the grapes off the vine? Is it good for the air to circulate? Why do you trellis them?
Actually, what we have found out is that the older layers of the grapevine, it's important to allow that to stay. It used to be, you know, in the past they'd say clear some of that out. It's actually good for them to be able to have that. And you need the trellis to be up and lifted so that you can take it off the ground. It also helps with the animals, those sort of things, to be able to get the grape. It also protects the root system so the vine's actually growing up.
But the vine decided this. No one did this so far as you know.
No, you don't train it. Not that I'm aware of. There's no training to it. This is actually how it grows.
I've got a bowl from the mother vine, and I see some that are bright green, some that are a little muddier, some a little slicker, some a little more wrinkled like. Which one should I pick?
Age of the grape, and I would say it's the individual choice. The one thing about this grape is it makes you work a little harder. You know, growing up, you just pop a grape in, eat the whole thing. Here, what's really important is what's inside the grape versus the tough skin that's on the outside of the grape.
But you eat that part too?
Oh, I'll eat it all, not the
Okay.
seed.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of seeds, but you can.
Okay.
Just like some people eat watermelons and they eat the seeds. So
All right, so I'm going in and we're gonna see what happens. It feels like I picked a movie to watch, but I didn't really know what it was about till I got into it.
I love that.
That is so interesting. There's the crunch of the skins, then there's the burst of juice, and the outside's really sweet, but there's a tang, like an earthy tang. If a summer night at the beach had a taste,
This
I
is
think
what it would be.
Yeah, I really do.
It definitely has a very unique taste.
It is the state fruit of North Carolina,
That's right. Absolutely.
and you get to live here.
I know, it's amazing.
Let's have a grape.
Absolutely. Let's have a grape.
If you've never had roasted grapes before, haven't made them at home, or had them served to you, you are in for a treat. It could not be more simple, but it's an elegant way that's going to dress up any dish, and it's the star of this next one. A wonderful way to try out roasted grapes. So I have preheated my trusty cast iron skillet, and I'm going to add a pound of fresh sausage. Now, it can be poultry sausage, it can be pork, it can be hot, it can be mild, it can be whatever you like, but it does need to be fresh. A pre-cooked sausage just doesn't work in this recipe. So I'm going to put these in my skillet and let them brown a little bit. Just a couple of minutes on each side to give them a little jump start on the cooking. And while those brown, we're going to get our grapes ready. So I am using 2 different colors of muscadines. These beautiful wine-colored black ones, some people call it, and some of the lighter color ones that some people call scuppernongs. You can do a mixture or you can do either one. But for these, I've cut them in half and taken out their seeds. And then I have some shallots. All I did to these was cut them in half, and there's a tiny bit of the root end still left on so that the pieces will hold together. Got a splash of olive oil, and you don't want to make them oily, but you do want to moisten them up just a little bit to get them ready to go into the pan. And I'm going to do the same thing with my grapes. Just a little splash of oil, a good pinch of salt, and 2 good pinches of pepper. I'm going to add the rest of my grapes to my bowl. And I'm going to cook these for 1 to 2 minutes on each side. We're not trying to cook them through. That'll happen in the oven just to give them a little bit of color. So I have my oil on my grapes and on my shallots, my salt and pepper, and now this goes in a skillet. I'm going to put my shallots cut side down so that they can get all toasty and brown as they roast. And then when it comes to the grapes, just scatter them around. No rhyme or reason, just put them in the pan. Drop in a sprig of rosemary for a little herbaceous flavor, and it's off to the oven. So it's been about 15 minutes, just long enough for the sausages to cook through, and it's time to get it out of the oven. So look what we have here. We have perfectly brown sausages, and we have these little sizzly grapes. I love that some of them have broken apart and turned into little jammy bits. Some have held their shape. They're a little soft, they're a little frizzled on the edges, a whole range of flavors and textures. And now I'm going to make myself a little plate the way that I love to eat this. Step 1, throw away this poor old rosemary. It has given its all. So I'm going to start with one of these grape sausages. And then I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to scrape up some of these amazing grapes. Some of the ones that are a little soft, some of the ones that are a little sizzly, and at least one of these delicious shallots that has gotten golden and toasty while it was in the oven. And then I'm going to take a tiny bit more rosemary, just a little sprinkle to freshen that up. And then here are my companion pieces that I can't resist. Gotta have some cheese. So I have a nice ripe brie. Add that to my plate. Some toasty, crusty, delicious bread. And then last but not least, a little bit of mustard. I love how the mustard gives a little bright, crunchy note to everything else that's going on. And if you happen to have it on hand, a little balsamic vinegar, just a drop or two over the top of the grapes. It's gonna mix with those delicious, roasty, jam-like juices. This is a keeper. You're gonna love it.
It's ready. Yes, it's ready. So just let it all begin.
Pie is love, and love is pie. That's the motto of my talented pie-making friend, Kia Mastriani. In her kitchen, we're making an inventive muscadine pie that is truly a revelation.
Hey, friend.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. We got sunshine. We got you. It's going to be a good day.
Yeah, and we've got pie.
Pie. Everything's better with pie.
Come on in.
I love your pie space. What do you call this magical room of piedom here?
Well, this is the home of Milk Glass Pie. It's my little cottage bakery that I built here on our farm.
And you are the most pie person I've ever met. How did you fall in love with pie?
I think I fell in love with pie because I fell in love, period. My partner, Jamie Swafford, he is a farmer, and we met because I wrote a story about him one time. And our first Christmas together, he had given me a pie book. And in the inscription, it said, "Love is pie." And you know, I was just filled with love, and I just had to put it in the pie. I just kept baking pie and baking pie and baking pie.
I love that. So your combinations are so creative. You're known for that. Now, it's muscadine season, so you're bound to be doing some fabulous things with muscadines.
We've got muscadine vines here on the farm, so we just have them in abundance. I had this idea to do something that was akin to peanut butter and jelly, so I created a PB&J pie with muscadines, which is, you know, nostalgia for me. Once we pick the muscadines off the vine, there's a process of kind of separating the pulp from the skins, because there's a seed inside that muscadine grape. So we've got to kind of get that out. So we have the muscadine pulp, we've got the skins, which is where all the flavor lives, and then we usually recombine them in order to make the filling. And I usually add spices and sugar, and we cook that filling down for this pie. I always like to combine the dry ingredients together, especially when I'm using cornstarch. Like if you're not careful, it gets a little clumpy if you're adding it to liquid. So I've got some light brown sugar and granulated sugar, a half cup of each.
Now, why are you using 2 sugars? Is that for flavor? Is that for thickness?
I just always mix them because I just think it makes a better pie.
If you tell me it makes a better pie, I'm sold.
A half teaspoon of allspice, a half teaspoon of ginger, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. I've got a half a teaspoon of kosher salt. And then we're gonna thicken this on the stovetop. So we're gonna use a 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Okay. And I normally give that a mix. I love using my hands when I'm mixing sugar and spices. I think that this gives you the opportunity to get any sort of clumps out.
We got a lot of info coming through those fingertips, don't we?
So this is 2 pounds worth of muscadine filling. Just add it in to here. And I will just kind of mix it in. Then we've got 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, a 1/4 cup of Old North shrub.
For people that have never had a shrub before, what is it?
Shrub is fruit, vinegar, and sugar. And shrub is my secret ingredient.
Well, you know, as they say at home, that is 40 kinds of fabulous.
And I normally just kind of stir that up together. I usually let it come to a full boil. I just kind of pour it out onto a sheet pan to let it cool, because we will add some egg to bind the filling, and I don't want to cook the eggs. I want that filling to be all the way cooled.
You are the queen of crimp, of all crimpdom. What did you do to pre-bake it?
With any pie shell that I pre-bake, the pie shell gets frozen, I cover it in tin foil, and then I usually add some type of pie weight into the shell, and I fill it all the way up to the top.
And the pre-baking kind of seals it so that this filling's not going to sog out the bottom, right?
Correct. We do not like soggy bottoms in this house.
No soggy bottoms.
That's it. That's it. So we're gonna just add this cooled filling to the pie shell.
So how do we put the PB in the PB&J?
With this peanut butter oat crumble.
So how did you get the little lumpy bits?
I refrigerate my crumble.
There you go, and that butter sets back up.
That's it.
I've always loved a crumble on top of a grape pie. But I sure didn't think of peanut butter. That is ridiculously good. Thank you, my dear. You are the best pie person I will ever know.
It's good to have pie people in your life, that's for sure. Yeah.
I'd love you without the pie, but this helps.
Yeah, right.
Good Lord, that's good. My whole life, I have loved a good pasta and vegetable salad. And when I was growing up, there was one that my grandmother made that had broccoli in it and some grapes. Well, I have updated that. This is how you make it. So I have a pot of vigorously boiling water, and I'm going to add quite a bit of salt. One of the keys to making pasta for this recipe or for any is to generously salt the water. Add what you think it's going to need and a little bit more. They say it should taste like ocean water when it's ready. And I'm going to add in my pasta. I'm using this really attractive, delicious, squiggly, curly shape. And you can use any shape you want so long as it's short and stubby. You want something that's going to hold these ingredients, not long, thin strands. So put that in the boiling water, I'm guessing 6 minutes. So when your pasta is about 2 minutes short of being perfect, we're going to add the broccoli so it can cook in the same water. This broccoli isn't going to cook completely. It's going to cook only till it's crisp tender. I like it when a little bit of that raw edge has been taken off, but while it still retains all of its great color and crunch. So 90 seconds, 2 minutes, let your broccoli tell you what it needs. So about 2 minutes later, your pasta is going to be al dente and your broccoli is going to be crisp tender, and we're going to take it out of that boiling water. You want to drain this really well, because one of the keys to a great pasta-based dish is for there to be no clinging moisture before you add your dressing or your sauce. Now, some people would say, well, why don't I just rinse it? Well, rinsing is going to make your pasta gummy, and it's going to make your broccoli sad. So I like to let gravity and about 2 minutes of time do the job for me. So we're going to let this sit until the steam stops billowing. It'll take just enough time for us to be able to make our great dressing. Now I'm going to actually make my dressing in the bowl I'm going to serve the entire dish to cut down on the number of dirty dishes. Now this is my version of poppy seed dressing. The base is mayonnaise. Now the mayonnaise is going to sort of dissolve in the recipe, but it's going to give us a rich creaminess that's going to coat every little squiggle in that cute curly pasta. And then we're going to add some sugar. Then we have some sherry vinegar. Going to make this sweet and tangy all at the same time. And this is powdered mustard, what some recipes and what I always call dry mustard, but some people call it powdered mustard. And then we have poppy seeds, and then salt and pepper. And now all we have to do is stir it together until it's nice and creamy. And now it's time for our pasta and our broccoli to go in. So it's no longer screaming hot. A lot of the moisture has cooled down and steamed off, but it's still a little bit warm. And that's one of my secrets to a great pasta salad is you let the pasta go into the dressing before it's completely cold, because it's going to absorb a lot of that flavor as it finishes cooling down. Give it a good stir, and then we're going to add what gives this recipe its special edge, and that's our muscadines.
So when it comes to muscadines, we have choices. There are black ones, red ones, and bronze ones that can look a little bit green. And any of those are going to be great in this recipe. So the trick is to find the muscadine that's in the best form where you are. There's also a new muscadine. There's over 150 different kinds, and apparently there's room for one more because lately there are these tiny little muscadines. And what makes them separate from the others is they don't have seeds, which make them a great addition to a recipe like this because all you have to do is put them in the bowl. But I like to mix things and get a little of all of them. So I also have some of the traditional ruby colored, the black ones, the beautiful wine colored ones. And for these, you're gonna wanna cut them in half and pick out the seeds. It takes only a couple of minutes. And last but not least, we have some of these beautiful bronze green ones. Now, some people say that if they're green or bronze, they're scuppernongs, whereas the dark colored ones are muscadines. I don't really know. I think it depends on where you grew up and what you call your grapes. I just know that they all taste delicious. The perfume of these are amazing. You always know you have a great muscadine if it makes the whole house smell good. And now for a little bit of a savory edge, we have some finely sliced shallots, and we're gonna fold it together. Now, when you start stirring this, you may say, there is not enough dressing. There is no way that that's enough dressing on here. Oh, yes, it really is, because we're gonna put this in the refrigerator and let it chill, which will take a good 2 hours. You could even do it a day ahead. And what's gonna happen is all of these amazing flavors are gonna come together. They're all gonna come to the party, and this dressing's gonna firm up a little bit and perfectly coat each nook and cranny, noodle squiggle, every good grape. Now this is good and chilled. It was in the refrigerator for a couple of hours, but you could do this the night before to get a head start. We have 2 more great ingredients to go in, and I saved those until the last so that they'll remain crunchy and add a little bit of different texture to this salad. The first is some pecans. Just chopped, nicely chopped pecans, or you can use halves if you want to, and then some smoky bacon. But if you want to keep this meatless, no worries. There's plenty going on in this bowl already. And we're gonna stir that in, and this salad is ready to eat. And I think it's time to taste it. So we have our crunch, we have our sweet, we have some savory, we have some tangy, all together. I'm going in. You know, that is so good. You can taste everything individually, and then it comes together in one magnificent bite. And the star of this show is the muscadine. No other grape tastes like a muscadine. It's sweet, it's earthy, it has its own aroma that is somehow part of its flavor. A muscadine isn't just a fruit, it's its own season. In North Carolina, we know it's September, not by the calendar, but when it's muscadine time. So at the very first glance at a bowl full of muscadines or scuppernongs, you know this is no ordinary grape. They're rounder than most table grapes. They also have thick skins, and they're full of seeds. Now the seeds need to come out for a lot of recipes, and it's not that hard. Here's how I like to do it. So you want to cut the grape with a serrated knife, if you have one handy, from the stem down. And the grape will tell you if you're going the wrong way, because you can actually feel those seeds under the tip of the knife. Now, once it's cut in half, the seeds reveal themselves. They're not gonna hide. They're there in plain sight. And you just take your finger, or what I like to do is to take the tip of a wooden skewer or a toothpick and just pry those babies out of there. That's it. They grow in a pattern. You're not gonna have to go fishing around for them. There's about 4 per grape. And out they come. And that's how you remove the seeds from these delicious muscadines. Muscadines are a wonderful ingredient. I am so glad we were able to hear their history and cook with these gems. They're inspiring, distinctive, and sure to be the hit of your next recipe.
Now, is there an art to spitting the seeds on people or away from people or anything like
Not
that?
that I'm aware of.
Okay.
My mother would probably say we shouldn't spit the seeds
I
at
think
people.
we ought to work on it, don't you? Arc, distance, array.
We could begin a whole new competition for the Outer Banks.
You know what? Another thing, it is impossible to eat just one.
Absolutely. Well,
'Cause
look,
it's like,
we have a whole bowl.
I can think of worse things to do than sit here and empty this bowl.
Aren't they good?
They are the best maybe ever, certainly this year.
For all the recipes from the show, visit our website. It's where you'll find the key ingredient for a perfect time in the kitchen.